Hello everyone and welcome to some MiSTer FPGA news. This week we will be talking about updates to the Sega Saturn core, Nintendo 64 compatibility increases because of ROM patches, the DE10 Nano alternative, new arcade cores, and more. Also, check out my channel sponsor MiSTer Add-ons, a place where you can get all your MiSTer needs, things like full MiSTer setups, I/O boards, accessories, and more. Now let's get to the news. The Sega Saturn has had an official update that you can download through the regular update channels now. The list of specific updates is huge, so I'll name some games that have been affected with these updates. There were VDP1 fixes that affected Andretti Racing, Duke Nukem 3D, Shining Force 3 battles, Battle Garega, the backgrounds in Wiz, the beginning of Grandia, NBA Jam Tournament Edition's team selection screen, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, the title screen in the European version of Revolution X, and Burning Rangers. There were also VDP2 fixes that affected Magical Night Dreams Cotton 2, The Sky in Episode 2 of Panzer Dragoon 2, Radiant Silvergun, Saturn Bomberman's Final Boss, Fighter 2 Staff Roll, Galaxy Fight's Now loading screen, and Capcom Generation 5's Gallery. There were SCU fixes that affected Alone in the Dark 2, Discworld, Worms, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Shining Force 3, Street Fighter the Movie, and Sky Target. SCSCP fixes that affected Waku Waku 7 and Bubble Symphony. SMP fixes that affected Revolution X and World Series Baseball 98. Other updates and fixes involved the reworking of the DDR RAM controller to increase VDP1 VRAM access speed. This helps improve core accuracy. There was also reworking of main SD-RAM to use only one chip for better compatibility with older SD-RAM modules. And there was snack support added. For now, this only works for the digital pad. Keep in mind that these are not the only games that have been affected. This long list of updates are sure to affect other games. Remember, you can just run the update script on your MiSTer FPGA to get these recent changes. User Rules Set on the MiSTer FPGA forums has created some Nintendo 64 game patches that circumvent some of the limitations of the DE10 Nano, which prevents some games from running on the Nintendo 64 core. Patches are available for Conker's Bad Fur Day and Jet Force Gemini. This is how Rule Set defines what the patches do. For Conker's Bad Fur Day, the game does not load all instruction data in RAM all at once. It uses a TLB to swap data in and out, so when the program jumps to a part of memory that hasn't been filled yet, a TLB exception is called to handle this. Here, the game looks for the least used block of assigned memory, removes it from the memory map, and eventually copies the new instruction data to this block. It also removes the entry from the TLB. RuleSet is not exactly sure what goes wrong on the MiSTer core, but instead of removing the entry in the memory map and the TLB, the refill code was just pointed to the expansion pack and increments a pointer by 1000 hex every time such a refill happens. When the expansion pack is full, this expansion pack pointer is reset and the entire memory map is purged as well as a TLB. This can cause a small hitch every hour or so, but Conker is full of these small hitches, so it's doubtful you'll notice. For Jet Force Gemini, there is an RSP timing check that the game does. RuleSet just removed any conditionals in this check, so it always passes. They haven't played the game past the second level, but it seems to work for now. The patches are available for download on the MiSTer FPGA forum. These are BPS patches, and you can use software like Beat to patch your original Z64 files. There are patches for both NTSC and PAL ROMs. Note that the uncensored patch needs to be used with the original NTSC release, not the already uncensored ROM. The beta JTSHOUSE core that runs Splatterhouse can now run the action puzzle game Rompers. And also the shooting game Bakutotsu Kijute. Hope I pronounced that correctly. These two games were the final ones pending for this core, so hopefully that means a public release will be soon. As with all of Jotego's cores, they are released in beta form first to Patreon subscribers. As soon as they are deemed stable, a free public release is made. Jotego's team has performed the following bug fixes to these games: Hypersport's garbled sounds, strange sounds in some JTSHOUSE games, noise in Renegade, and extra pixels in some sprites in the Simpsons arcade game. Jotego has also given us a quick update on what's happening with the System 18 core. Work continues and there is now preliminary support for the gun game Laser Ghost. There is some built-in compensation for the gun done by the game that needs to take into account when using accurate devices like a mouse with the core. We have some more updates for the upcoming DE10 Nano alternative from Taki Udon. The alternate DE10 Nano will now support USB-C power delivery instead of a DC barrel jack. It can do 5 to 12 volts at 5 amps, with a maximum of 60 watts. I personally think that this is great because I actually prefer using USB power delivery. I want all my devices to use USB-C for power. Taki also said that the version 1.3 board will also come with a soldered USB header. Some prototype USB hub boards were made with a new header change, and they have also started making the version 9.2 I/O board. They will sell the full package as a kit with the board, RAM, USB hub, and the I/O board. Updated pricing will also be announced at a later time. While doing some major back-end work for the TapTo code, there is now a side effect feature that Visual doesn't know what to do with yet. It's the ability to use multiple NFC readers at once. They would be plug-and-play and hot pluggable. Do any of you have a good use case for 2 NFC readers? Let me know in the description. Randy Snice, who makes some amazing wallpapers for the MiSTer FPGA, found a vintage ad for the Sega Master System and decided to make a wallpaper out of it. To get it, enable Randy Snice's wallpapers in the Update All script settings. Shane Lynch's MiSTerCast software has been updated to support the latest version of Groovy MiSTer. Here's a quick explanation of what Groovy MiSTer and MiSTerCast do. Groovy MiSTer is a core that turns your DE10 Nano into a network GPU for a computer. This will allow specific emulators to output to a CRT connected to a DE10 Nano running Groovy MiSTer over the network. You may think that doing this over the network might be slow, but it actually can be faster than a modern monitor connected directly to a computer. Since emulators have to specifically support Groovy MiSTer for this to work, it will not work with just any emulator or even your computer's desktop. This is where the MiSTerCast software comes in and saves the day. It is a program specifically written to cast your Windows desktop to Groovy MiSTer, so any emulator can be used. You can even use it to watch old movies and TV shows on a CRT, and you're not limited to any of that. You can use any content that you run on your computer and cast it to your CRT using MiSTerCast. However, it is still best for emulators to have dedicated Groovy MiSTer support because they can properly set correct refresh rates, resolutions, and provide better latency. Check out my Groovy MiSTer and MiSTerCast videos to see these programs in action. So that's it for this episode. I provided links to all my sources in the description. Make sure to also check out RetroRGB.com to see my MiSTer news videos in blog form and to get more retro-related content. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button and its bell icon so you can get notified of future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.